Welcome to the show known as the Black and Gold Hour, a show where we talk about your New Orleans Saints. It's your host, Merv, and I'm happy you guys are here with me on today. Thank you guys for watching, because today's episode, we're going to talk about the Saints' 30-26 loss to the Cincinnati Bengals, the improvements we saw on the team, and also the things that we definitely need to talk about as the Saints head into a Thursday night matchup against the Arizona Cardinals. The Saints are now 2-4, and it's really not looking good for the team with the host of injuries and also coaching decisions that we are still kind of questioning as the season goes on. But we're going to cover all of that in today's episode. Before we get into it, remember to like and subscribe. I want to thank everyone who has supported along the way, man. I really appreciate it, and I'm so blessed for it. But we want to continue to grow the community and keep talking Saints football. So let's get into it. All right, so boom, the game starts. It's the first quarter, and the New Orleans Saints defense really isn't looking too bad, to be honest with you. The New Orleans Saints defense was able to stop the Cincinnati Bengals offense on the first drive. Everybody was looking fast, good tackling, and it seemed like the New Orleans Saints defense was what we expected them to be coming into this game. We knew with the New Orleans Saints going through a myriad of injuries with Michael Thomas, Jarvis Landry, Chris Olave, Marshawn Lattimore, Jameis Winston. I mean, the list goes on as far as the injuries that the New Orleans Saints are dealing with, but we still felt confident as they went into the Superdome against the Cincinnati Bengals, who have been struggling, especially to create good offense. Joe Burrow has been struggling with consistency, and it's just something that gave Saints fans confidence going into this game, and I'm sure the New Orleans Saints team felt confident as well. The New Orleans Saints were able to start the game with the great possession and actually start the game with a touchdown to Traquan Smith. Traquan Smith was able to score a touchdown from Andy Dalton, and that play was sparked from a special teams fumble recovery. I know we've been talking about it all season, but special teams came in clutch to start the game with a fumble recovered by Adam Troutman, who later got injured in the game, and I'm praying for his health, that he gets better. It looked like it was an ankle injury, and he did come back, but I hope for a quick recovery for him, because he's really valuable in the run game. As we get into the first quarter, I want to point out something that I noticed. Chris Harris Jr. Now, with Marshawn Lattimore being out, Chris Harris Jr. was on Tyler Boyd, and Tyler Boyd was able to create some plays against him. Chris Harris Jr. is a veteran, and Tyler Boyd, he's one of the better wide receivers in the league. He's a part of that Higgins, Jamar Chase, Boyd three-man combo that they got down in Cincinnati, and he was able to create some third down conversions. Chris Harris didn't play bad, but Tyler Boyd was definitely able to get the best of him on some critical third down drives. Now, as we get into the later half of the first quarter, Demario Davis and the New Orleans Saints defense hold strong and force Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals offense to a third down. Now, Joe Burrow and them are unable to convert the third down, but Demario Davis hit Joe Burrow just a second too late in the referee's opinion. Now, to us in the Superdome and us as Saints fans, you know, that roughing the passer call was a very it's a suspect call. It's a very suspect soft call, but later the New Orleans Saints did receive that same favor later. So as we go into the second quarter, the New Orleans Saints are up. They're actually controlling the game. They weren't leading in time of possession at this point in the game, but they were controlling the momentum. The New Orleans Saints were running the ball. They were using Taysom Hill. They were utilizing their weapons, the weapons that they had. And one thing I want to say is the wide receivers stepped up. Traquan Smith, Marquez Callaway, Rashid Shaheed, Keith Kirkwood, Jawan Johnson, all of them were able to create plays this game, and that is something that I do want to highlight. Andy Dalton and the New Orleans Saints wide receivers, even with injuries depleting the roster right now on the offensive side of the ball, they were able to create production and convert critical third downs. Now, as we get to the second quarter, one player that everyone was excited about this week is Rashid Shaheed, wide receiver and returner from Weber State. Man, that dude is fast. And he actually had Eli Apple beat on an in route that Andy Dalton just missed. But then Rashid Shaheed got the ball back on a wide receiver jet sweep. He took it straight to the house immediately. You could see the speed. You could see the crowd just loving it, man. And I was loving it too, man, because this guy, when I watched his interviews, he's just a humble guy, man. You could tell that he's excited to play football. And with Deontay Harris out right now, Rashid Shaheed is somebody that we definitely need to be that spark for the New Orleans Saints offense. and special teams unit. But as we got further into the second quarter, we saw something that we haven't seen in a long time, me personally as a Saints fan, and that's Kamara just balling out. I mean, Kamara, like, he's my guy. He's always making plays, but lately he just hasn't looked the same over the last few games. I mean, last week he looked good against the Seahawks, but he always looks good against the Seahawks. But this game, he looked like 2017, 2018 Kamara. Fast, agile, making plays, making people miss, hitting the hole hard. He's doing all-purpose running back things. And that's what Alvin Kamara was bringing this week. And that's what I was excited to see. You just saw the burst when he touched the ball. And man, if Alvin Kamara can get into a groove and the New Orleans Saints can stick to the running game, then that's something that we definitely want to see going forward, as the New Orleans Saints are struggling with the receiver group right now with injuries. Now, as the New Orleans Saints and the defense kind of got into a groove, and the Bengals also got into a groove, we saw the New Orleans Saints give up a rushing TD to Joe Burrow. He kind of just escaped the pocket, and it was no one in that area, and he just ran for that touchdown. And Joe Burrow being able to escape critical sacks was something that proved to be very important as the game went on. And also the New Orleans Saints were unable to score really another touchdown outside of that touchdown to Traquan Smith. And kicking field goals in this league is a guaranteed disaster to lose. So let's go into the third quarter, the second half, and the New Orleans Saints were up at halftime. Something we haven't seen much of this season. It's almost a rarity to see, but the New Orleans Saints offense and defense was looking good, and the New Orleans Saints received the ball to start the third quarter. As the third quarter got started, the New Orleans Saints kind of stalled out. They didn't really do much during the third quarter. I mean, Mark Ingram was looking good. He was hitting the hole. You could see the New Orleans Saints utilizing Taysom Hill, Alvin Kamara, and Mark Ingram, the three-headed monster in the rushing game. And they were making plays. But once again, the New Orleans Saints offense was not able to score touchdowns. They were kicking field goals, man. And if you're kicking field goals against elite offenses, man, you're going to lose, man. And it was kind of just like a safe play calling the whole time, man. I would have liked to see them actually go for that pass they missed Rashid Shaheed on in the first quarter. I would have liked to see him be used more, but maybe he wasn't used because he was just upgraded this week. He was, he hasn't really had a lot of time to develop chemistry with the quarterback, Andy Dalton or Jameis Winston at this time in the season. And maybe he didn't have a lot of availability for the plays that he knew. So what I want to say is that maybe, as the season goes on, we get to see a little bit more of Rashid Shaheed. But, man, he definitely showed some promise, and I definitely wanted to see more of him in this game, especially with the way that the offense was kind of stalling out in the red zone. I definitely wanted to see more from Rashid Shaheed, or maybe even utilizing Taysom Hill more in the red zone. But as we got into the third quarter, we got deeper and deeper into the third quarter. New Orleans Saints, one thing I want to highlight is the wide receiver group were able to convert third down conversions. Andy Dalton and the wide receiver group did not have trouble with that this week. I think they were over 50% for third down, so I can't complain about that, especially with Michael Thomas and Jarvis Landry and Chris Olave being out, man. I want to give it to Traquan Smith, man. I know we give him a hard time, man, and I also want to give it to Marquez Callaway, man. They were making some catches, man, that just coming back to the football, good hands, sturdy, protecting the ball. And I could tell that protecting the ball was an emphasis for the New Orleans Saints this week with no turnovers, man. So that was something that we really needed to see as Saints fans, and something that we saw. But as we get into the fourth quarter, disaster struck. Once again, I'll say it again. The fourth quarter and disaster struck. The defense of the New Orleans Saints were unable to make tackles, man. A lot of broken tackles, a lot of third down conversions by the Cincinnati Bengals. Jamar Chase, he's a star. We know what he does in this league, and he was able to do his thing against the New Orleans Saints secondary. He was on Bradley Roby, and all of them were able to, they were in position. They weren't getting burned or anything, but just making the tackle and bringing him down behind the sticks is something that we wanted to see. And the New Orleans Saints started to slip just a little bit. And every time they slipped, Cincinnati got more and more momentum until Jamar Chase caught it on a first down pass, broke a tackle from Roby, was able to outrun the safety or other corner, whoever it was. I think it was Chris Harris Jr. and walk into the end zone, and the score was 30-26. And as we get into it, the New Orleans Saints were not able to score. Andy Dalton was not able to necessarily get a second first down for the team, even get us in scoring opportunity, and the New Orleans Saints falls 30-26. Now, something that I do want to highlight is On the drive, on the possession before the Saints' last possession, the possession before last, the New Orleans Saints ran the ball, I want to say 3 times, and were unable to get the first down. I think the New Orleans Saints should have thrown the ball a little bit more, and I definitely wanted to see Taysom Hill more in that position. If you're going to run the ball 3 times, I would let Taysom Hill run the ball at least one of those 3 times. He could have got us a first down, took more time off the clock, and just put us in a better situation. And also Blake Gilligan's punt that didn't go anywhere. It was a terrible punt at a terrible time. Will put the Cincinnati Bengals in position to win. And this is something that I want to talk about when it comes to the New Orleans Saints team this year. It just seems like the puzzle pieces don't fit together at the right place, at the right time. If the offense is playing well, the defense is slacking. If the defense is playing well, the special teams is slacking. The offense is slacking. It's like we can never piece it together. And right now with the Saints going through injury and not a lot of time for recovery with a Thursday night matchup, it's critical that the New Orleans Saints continue to stick to the run, because I do think that is what held them together. I do think Dennis Allen needs to get into the defense in the locker room and let them know, hey, you got to tackle. You got to bring down, the runners and receivers that catch the ball, because that's the only way they were beating the Saints. They had no game-breaking plays until the Jamar Chase late play in the fourth quarter. But other than that, man, it just seems like the New Orleans Saints defense really just, kind of had a little setback with tackling this weekend, with the offense that's struggling and not able to really score touchdowns consistently. It proved to be crucial in this New Orleans Saints loss, 30-26. The team is now 2-4, and there's a lot of questions, man. I mean, Dennis Allen and his coaching regime, it has been terrible. It has been absolutely terrible. The New Orleans Saints have a lot of questions. And honestly, as a Saints fan, I'm going to be personal with y'all. I was never a fan of the Dennis Allen hire. The reason I say that is because the New Orleans Saints already excelled at defense. So why not bring in an offensive-minded coach to fix what you lack? For example, if you're a manager and you're hiring someone for a position at your job, at your firm, at your organization, you're not going to hire a manager that specializes in what you do well already. You're going to hire a manager that can improve the other areas in which you lack. And I think that Dennis Allen was the easy hire. He was maybe the politically correct hire because he's been with the team for a long time. But I do not think he was the right hire for this New Orleans Saints team. I mean, you talk about Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. It just seems like the team lacks energy and is inconsistent from quarter to quarter, from game to game, and honestly from play to play. But this New Orleans Saints team is 2-4, and we really don't have time to even wipe our tears, really. We got to get ready for the Arizona Cardinals and Kyler Murray, and he's on right now, balling right now against the Seahawks. So we're going to see what we do on Thursday. I'm going to be vlogging. I'm going to be at the game in Phoenix, y'all. So I'm going to be vlogging and showing y'all all the behind the scenes of what's going on the field. But thank you guys for watching this week's quick recap of the New Orleans Saints loss to the Cincinnati Bengals. It's who that for life, y'all. But the New Orleans Saints have a lot to work on, and we're going to see how it improves as the season goes on. Thank you guys for watching. Before I go, remember, I always got a Merv Speak segment for y'all. And in today's episode, I want to talk about distractions. Now, distractions can be anything. It could be people, social media, your phone, TV, Netflix. It's so many distractions in our world, and there's so many things that we are supposed to be doing here to help us get to where we need to be to elevate or get to the next level. So I challenge you guys to just try to cut back on at least one distraction. Maybe it's social media use. Maybe it's eating unhealthy foods. Maybe it's just playing on your phone all day. Maybe it's YouTube. Maybe it's anything. I just want to encourage you guys to just cut back on one of them, just one of them, and I guarantee your life will improve in another impactful area in your life. But thank you guys for watching the Black and Gold Hour show. This is your host, Merv. Thank you guys for watching. Appreciate all the support. Hey man, let's go enjoy some more football. Enjoy the fall weather. You guys stay safe. Be blessed. Peace.